What's good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. Back here with another one with, of course, the Jason Taylor to my Zach Thomas, EMdolphinfan. What's good, homie? Let the people know what you're about tonight.
What is good, Reason? How you doing, man? Hope everything is good with you. Fans Nation, hope everybody's out there being safe and being smart out here. And hope everybody's able to navigate through this craziness that's going on in the world. And, yeah, let's get into it, baby. Let's get to it.
Bro, I'm an absolute zombie tonight. We're going a little late, guys, tonight just because I was actually the one who held it up. My wife had to take care of some stuff, so I wasn't available till not too long ago. And, brother, I'm not even lying, bro. When you called me about that whole tournament idea, bro, I just woke up. I just woke up, bro.
I could tell.
And I was out,
bro.
I was out to Mars, bro. I wasn't even walking on the planet at that point.
I can tell.
But yeah, it was a nice nap, bro. So guys, we got a special one for you tonight. Tonight we are going to be joined by, of course, the man, the myth, the legend. You may know him over from his channel. You can follow him on Twitter. GreatOne. I believe it's what is it? GreatOneDeVore. People, everyone, Fin Nation, give a good shout out, give a good welcome to our boy GreatOneDeVore. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, fellas? Appreciate you having me again,
good,
man. It's been a long awaited, man. It's been a long awaited.
Before we get started, no Josh Rosen foolishness, okay? we gave TD the same treatment, so no Josh Rosen buffoonery.
Hey, you already
it's
know.
All good, though.
I keep it 100.
I hear you. But we appreciate you coming on, bro. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man, fellas.
How's everything going out in Maryland, bro? Is it like somewhat calm? Is it hectic? What's going on out there?
I will say it's probably a whole lot better than some places. We ain't burning down stuff.
Yeah.
It got a lot better down here where I'm at in Texas, bro. It's the weekend was pretty crazy, and I mean they're still protesting everything, but not support protesting as long as it's peaceful. But when it gets to burning down and tearing up property and stuff like that, I gotta draw a line in the sand at that point. But it looks like things are somewhat kind of tapering off a little bit. So,
man, it's crazy climate we're living in. Who would have thought in the middle of a pandemic we basically, get to a point where they're on the brink of almost civil war, right? So, just the timing's crazy with everything. I hope everyone is out there staying healthy. I hope some of you are trying to find some positivity throughout this negativeness, and you're managing to stay happy. And I hope above all else, everyone's staying safe, man. It's crazy out there. Crazy climate we're living in right now.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
It's I think it's a place a lot of us, what's crazy is, as crazy as it is to an extent, it's necessary because it's time for enough time for the time for talk is over. Now it's actually time for change, right? This isn't one of those things where, it's going to go away overnight, and it doesn't look like it's going to be one of those 2-week things where everyone suddenly forgets about it. So it's good to see that even though you got a worldwide pandemic going on, people are putting that to the side because it's time for change and everyone's out there trying to make it happen. So there is a light in the darkness, my friends.
Absolutely.
Just be careful out there, man. Just be careful, bro. To everybody.
So, just a couple of news things before we get into this discussion a little bit. First things first, according to Adam Schefter, the NFL sent out a memo to teams informing them that they will also not be allowed to hold joint practices with other teams this summer. It had developed into a popular practice in recent years, and we have been mentioned by the Falcons, specifically by their head coach Dan Quinn, about potentially having joint practices with them. That's obviously next. Yesterday on the stream, we talked about how it's going to probably be a lot harder to get into practices this year because it's going to be at the training facilities, and they're obviously going to be limiting the amount of media they give access to. I know we kind of all expected it, but do you think, because the joint practices, I mean, they've been kind of successful for a lot of teams the last couple of years. Do you think that's kind of that's a is that a bump? Is that a little bit of a bump in the road that no one's really going to talk about?
Go ahead, Great One.
Me personally, I don't think so, because regardless of the fact you still got to go out there and practice and get ready for the regular season, I think it's just a bonus that teams can actually go out there and instead of hitting their own guys, they get an opportunity to hit somebody else's guys. But I really don't think it's going to affect the team moving forward going into the regular season.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I'm just glad that they're taking the necessary safety precautions. So yeah, I agree with that 100%. I don't anticipate this being a problem moving forward.
And what we didn't really hear Great One's thoughts on it. We kind of heard.
Hold on, what'd you say? I kind of going in and out. I missed that.
Can you hear me, bro?
I can hear you.
Reason froze up a little bit.
You said Reason froze up?
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to be one of those years where we don't get an abundance of information like we have the last couple of years? So, like projecting a guy like Preston Williams last year or Nick Needham last year, the way people were able to because of how many people had access. Do you think this year it's going to be harder to project specifically UDFAs because there's not going to be probably a lot of eyes at training camp?
Now that's a good point. That is a very, very good point. I really think they're going to really emphasize on getting the core guys involved, because God only knows how many opportunities you think that these unrestricted free agent guys are going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I agree. Again, I want to piggyback off that. I agree with that 100%. The focus definitely needs to be on the core guys, because of the limited. Because of everything that's going on and limitations on everything, actually having, time together spent at the training facility. Everything is virtual now. The classroom work, everything is virtual. Workouts are virtual now. So yeah, I think definitely the focus definitely needs to be on your core guys, but I'm sure they'll find a way to, they'll get the time in and proper time in to evaluate these guys that might be guys that are like, UDFAs or the late round guys. So it might be a slight bump in the road, but I don't think it'll be that big of an issue.
Like, do you guys think there's going to be a little bit more of an element of surprise to these players for us as fans and observers? Because, more people are going to be, especially if you got mainstream media being the only one that are given access to, let's all be honest, the main focus is going to be on a guy like Tua Tagovailoa and his battle with a Josh Rosen or a Ryan Fitzpatrick, as opposed to how a Kirk Merritt or how a Matt Cole or how a Benito Jones is making headway in daily practices.
I think the media has done a pretty good job emphasizing on those sleeper players during the course of training camp. Yeah, I can hear you.
Mm-hmm. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Anyway.
Oh, his headphones must have went out. You got those Fugazi headphones.
Oh, hey, the Fugazi, those wireless?
Yeah.
Oh, nah. So you gotta keep it old school. Wireless all the way. I don't mess with wireless.
Bro, even with the internet to an extent, right? Because that's why a lot of people, like we have a guy on here from Finmaniacs, Jason Sarney, and the reason he gets a delay and stuff like that, and people have hit him up in our comment section, be like, hey, I work in IT. You need to hardwire your internet for a better connection, right? Hardwire is the way to go, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Can y'all hear me? We good?
Yeah, we good.
This Ethernet cord is literally 50 feet long. I went and got it from, I think I bought it off of Amazon. Like, I take it everywhere, regardless where we move. If I have to cut a hole in the wall just to get that from the living room all the way in whatever room I'm at, I've always bring that long 50 feet long Ethernet cord.
I hear you.
Yours are wireless, right? EM, your headphones?
Yeah, mine are wireless.
What are they?
Beats.
Oh, you got I got the old school studios.
I got the Studio 3s.
I ain't fancy like I just got the same old Xbox Turtle Beaches.
No, I had a boy who worked at Best Buy. So a couple years ago when these were fresh, I got like 60%, 70% off. So it was a good scheme, man. They used to I'm not even joking you. They'd print off phony receipts. They'd walk out flat screen TVs right out the front because at the front you got the security guy and all he does is check the receipt. So they just hand him the receipt and they walk out of like 70-inch flat screen and then they'd load it up to one of their friends they just sold it to, man. It was like a legit Best Buy scheme going on. But yeah, back to what we were just talking about. What were your thoughts on that, EM?
Thoughts on what? I couldn't hear you. Y'all were breaking up.
Oh, okay. So we were just talking about how how because it might be, Great One doesn't think that the fact that he thinks that the mainstream media for the Dolphins has done a good enough job in terms of pointing out the gems. And my question was, do you think because it's going to be limited, when, like, let's be honest, we're talking about Jason Sarney, me and Great One. Jason Sarney was one of the few people in the media last year, in the Dolphins media last year, who was calling a Nick Needham and a Preston Williams. So my thing to you is if it's only given to mainstream access and the smaller guys aren't given access, is there going to be less eyes uncovering these gems in the rough? Are these guys going to be more, are Benito Jones, a Kirk Merritt, are they going to be more of a surprise because we're going to be hearing more about the Tua Tagovailoa battles than how a young gem in the rough like a Benito Jones is progressing?
Possibly, but again, the guys that I follow, they do a good job they do a really good job evaluating the team as a whole, and they just don't necessarily focus in on one. I'm sure all eyes will be on Tua the most, but again, it's about 2 or 3 people that I follow that they've been consistent over the years about evaluating the team as a whole. So it might be a problem, but again, I think there's contingency plans in place for everything at this point, I believe. And I don't, it might be a small possibility, but I don't think so at the end of the day.
All right. So yesterday we were kind of talking about Mike Freeman's 10-point stance, where he specifically mentioned Tua Tagovailoa and how it really wouldn't be a surprise to him if Tua Tagovailoa was starting by day one, because people he's talked to, multiple coaches in the NFL he's talked to, that's what they fully expect for Tua to win the battle in training camp and for Tua to start day one. No one's really talking about the offensive line concerns, like I'm sure a few of us have on our mind in terms of where they're at, how well they gel, et cetera, by the time he's asked to take over. But Rob Nikovich yesterday, he was on Get Up, and you briefly alluded to it this yesterday, EM. And he just happened to mention, I'll play the clip here, and how he happened to mention that he would take, next to Patrick Mahomes, the next quarterback up he would take in the AFC East, the AFC Tua Tagovailoa. So I'll play it here for everyone.
Don't mute your headphones, Great One. I want you to listen. I want you to hear this.
Let me know if you can hear it first, okay?
See that same jump for Lamar. Take a look at that a little more closely. This morning, and Rob Ninkovich jumps in here. And so, Rob, let me start with you. If you're looking at all the quarterbacks in the NFL who are 25 and younger, let's put Mahomes out of the conversation. I think unanimously, everybody would take him. Next, who would you take to start a franchise if it wasn't Mahomes amongst that group?
Played an NFL football game yet, and me and Brian Flores are like this. I'm going with Tua. He's the guy that I want to start my franchise with. I feel like he has the upside of modern NFL, the new, offensively, how you want to run the RPOs, the threat of running, and the ability to throw down the field. I mean, we haven't seen a hefty lefty since Steve Young can go out there and throw the rock around like he can. So I'm excited. I think he's going to have a great career. And I think in 3 years, give me 3 years, he will be the best quarterback in the AFC.
That's a really strong take. And
That is a really strong take.
3 years. 3 years. I'll give him 2. No, I'm kidding. 3 years, bro.
So what do you guys think about that first statement? 3 years, he thinks he could be the best quarterback in the AFC.
The floor is yours, Senator.
You want me to go first?
Go ahead.
Absolutely. The floor is yours.
Okay, so let's think about this for a second. Quarterbacks under 25 years old in the AFC right now. Let's see. You have Deshaun Watson. Who else we got in the AFC right now?
Lamar. We got Josh Allen. Sam
he don't count. Josh Allen don't count. Sam
Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield don't count. Not that many. Well, at first when we talked about this backstage, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, what's the Rob Ninkovich connection to Viola? And Rob Ninkovich said it in the video that me and Brian Flores go way back. So I'm trying to start to think, how much did Brian Flores pay Rob Ninkovich to say that on Get Up? Because don't get me wrong, I feel like Tua is extremely talented, but for you to go out there and say that and have Deshaun Watson playing for the Houston Texans the way that he's playing, that's insane. I strongly disagree with that. I can't.
Well,
he might also think that there's a chance Deshaun Watson might not be in the AFC in a couple of years too.
That's a possibility too, but we think it as far as near future, like right now. No.
I think once they put that $200 million check in front of Deshaun Watson, he ain't going nowhere. But really, I'm shocked to hear that, Great One. You really think Tua is talented? Really? That's a news flash to me, bro. That is really surprising.
Hey, I never said anything about Tua's talent.
Wow.
All I said was his durability was the issue, and the Miami Dolphins, being the Miami Dolphins, being probably the number one team of giving up sacks over the past 6 or 7 years, is just not a fit unless they fix that offensive line. That's all I said. I never said Tua was a bad quarterback.
Boy, I tell you, man, I'm hearing a lot of people going. I see a lot of people since we selected Tua. We got him in a draft. A lot of people been going skating, bro, because they've been skating. They've been sliding back and backtracking, and man, really okay. But I take you at your word, homie. I take you at your word.
Hey,
but
we could check the tape. We could check the tape.
but that's good to know. You recognize his skill set and you understand why myself and Reason 13 have been banging the table for this gentleman for over a year now. But again, some people on some other platforms, I'm not calling anybody's names or calling anybody out. You know, it seems like they have this personal vendetta with Tua, because I just don't get how if you have a negative evaluation on this kid, it can't be his tape, because I mean his tape is as flawless as it could possibly get. What he did at Alabama. Now again, I said this the other night on our stream. I'm done with Alabama tape. I'm not gonna go back and look at any more Alabama tape. I've done enough of that for 2 years. I'm evaluating Tua strictly from a Miami Dolphins standpoint and what he does for this team. He's no longer a member of the Alabama Crimson Tide. So, with that being said, Rob Ninkovich, obviously there's a connection with him and Brian Flores, but he obviously recognizes that kid's skill set. So we'll see. I don't think the durability issues are going to be, I think people are just overblowing, they might be a little scared and there might be overblowing his the potential of him being quote unquote injury prone in the National Football League. I don't think so. And again, all quarterbacks get hurt. He's going to get hurt at some point. It's just avoiding the catastrophic injuries where he's missing multiple years.
I'm knocking on my
injuries.
desk right now. I'm knocking on my desk right now. Right?
Every, I'm not afraid of that. I'm not, bro. Y'all shouldn't be scared. Every quarterback gets hurt. Every quarterback gets hurt. So again, but at the end of the day, you cannot deny this kid's skill set. You just can't. I mean, if you know what you're looking at, you know the game of football, and I know you do. You can recognize, wow, his tape. It just jumps off your TV screen at you. So. But I'm 100% agreement, and I would even say this: I wouldn't even be surprised if he winds up being better than Patrick Mahomes as well. I will not be surprised. I think his skill set is on that level. I really do.
And our system is so tailored for him already, really, right?
Yeah, exactly. And great one, really. Seriously, all jokes aside, you don't think Tua? I think he's more talented. He's a more talented passer than Deshaun Watson. Clearly, he's a bit more talented passer than what Lamar Jackson is. And I mean, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, reason I talked about this privately, but I think Tua, in terms of
his best comparison is Drew Brees. You're getting a Drew Brees basically coming to the AFC right now, but a more athletic version.
I think Tua.
He has a bit of a stronger arm too.
Listen. I think Patrick Mahomes has a stronger arm than Tua. That's the only clear advantage that he has in terms of physical skill set over Tua. But I think Tua. Now, hang on, because I know a lot of people won't come at me when I make the statement. But I mean, coming from if you're operating within the confines, the structure, the schedule of the offense. I think Tua is more advanced at this point, and I think he's just going to get better and better. I think even at this point, he's better in that regard. He's better. I think he's more consistent than Patrick Mahomes, because I think a lot of what Patrick Mahomes does, he relies. I would say like
he relies on
improvisation
too much.
Too much.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people won't come at me, and I'm going to receive a lot of hate, but you already know I'm going to give it out. But I think Tua's his overall skill set is on that level. I really do.
Yeah, because I mean, you even go like I know a lot of people make they look at the pinpoint accuracy, the anticipation, the way he manipulates the pocket.
Level.
A lot of people
Next level.
That's where a lot of people see Drew Brees. But let me hit you with this. So last year, his on-target accuracy of 20+ yard passes was 64.9%. Okay. You know what? That would have been second among all NFL QBs, and Drew Brees was only at 55.2%. And then when you go even deeper, right? He averaged over 9 yards per attempt to a Tagovailoa. The thing is, I think Drew Brees only once in his career, I think it was like 2012, has only averaged over 9 yards per attempt once in his career. So you've got Drew Brees accuracy and you got that Drew Brees anticipation of ball placement, but Tua is more aggressive and he's better at pushing the ball down the field. And he doesn't come from when you look at his numbers, when you actually get into his tape, he doesn't come from a New Orleans style offense where it's like the comparison you would make is LSU, because New Orleans is built to manufacture space for the receivers. That's why Michael Thomas is always so wide open, and Drew Brees doesn't have to put a ton of mustard behind the throws. He just has to be accurate, on time. That's all they really ask of Drew Brees, right? And the thing is, when you go into cover one, when you go into press man and stuff like that, I think Tua's got a much stronger arm than Drew Brees that could fit it into more tight windows than Drew Brees, because Drew Brees, not only because of his age, but if you go all the way back to his shoulder surgery, the reason why he changed his whole throwing motion, like I've said multiple times on the stream before, he has the exact same throwing motion as Atlanta Braves Hall of Fame pitcher Greg Maddux. And the reason why he did that was to make up for the arm strength he had just lost off the shoulder injury, right? So, and another thing, when you look at Tua, take out the RPO, bro. When you look at his passer rating last year outside of RPOs and play actions was 137.6. That was the best in college. That was almost 2 whole points better than Joe Burrow. So he's not just an RPO guy, right? Like he can sit in the pocket and shred you if you need him to, right? Like I've gone over how quickly I haven't seen a quarterback at the collegiate level pick up blitzes and shred them at the rate he does. Because I mean, he has over a 65 completion percentage against blitzes. Like he just picks them up and he just feasts on them. And I agree with EM. I think sorry, EM. Let me just finish my point.
Go ahead,
I agree with EM. Like you kind of saw Patrick Mahomes, right? I don't know if you saw it this year, Great One, but Mahomes talked about how this year he was the year where he really started. This was the first year where he started to recognize disguised post snap coverages a bit better. He said last year he had no recognition of them, and I think Tua Tagovailoa because he's more. I think the intangible wise, pre-snap wise, coming out of Alabama, whereas Mahomes was coming out of Texas Tech, and Kingsbury wasn't really asking you to do this, whereas Saban was. I think Tua is way more ahead, like EM said, in terms of where he is at pre-snap and even post-snap, right? Like his understanding of outside inside leverage on his receivers is elite too, right? So
at the end of the day, I just think Tua, and I've been, we've been consistent about this for a year. He's just such a more structured player. I mean, that's why I couldn't understand all this criticism from, and I get your opinion is your opinion. I respect that 100%. But man, we were just like, obviously they're not seeing what we are seeing. And then when you have his tape, number one, and then once you dig into the analytics, bro, this dude is like off the charts on every metric you can use to evaluate a quarterback. And I'm like, and that's what you want. You want the analytics to confirm what you see on tape. And again, the years that I've been watching football and was able to develop a understanding of the detail of football, I haven't seen a player more refined than Tua Tagovailoa at that position at this stage, transitioning to the NFL. And I just couldn't understand for 2 years why people were just hating on him, and I get I'm not as concerned about the quote unquote durability issues as some. But again, I just couldn't understand the hate, bro. And that's when I saw you when you posted that you ordered your Tua jersey, I replied in his comments. I said, bro, why would you purchase a jersey on a player that you've been hating on for 2 years? And so that's
he's part of the family. I got no choice. I gotta support my family members as much as possible.
No, you don't see me. You didn't see me order a Josh Rosen jersey, did you? Absolutely not.
Hey,
absolutely not.
I would have ordered one, but unfortunately, they're not on the NFLshop.com right now because that's exactly what the jersey I was going to buy.
Really?
I can't wear my Rashad Jones jersey no more, so I was like, you know what? I got to get me a new jersey. I don't see no Josh Rosen here, so I guess I'm going to have to get it to it.
You should be ashamed, bro. You should be ashamed of yourself.
And I got to wait till the end of the year for my investment to come.
When's your date? When's your order date?
November 26th.
Bro, mine's December 1st, and I ordered the day the throwbacks came out.
I said I'm not gonna order a throwback. I'm pretty sure this drink will probably come in January if I wait for the throwback to come out.
Yeah, a couple guys I know who ordered the jersey the day of the draft just got theirs.
What?
Speaking of Josh Rosen, let's talk about him for a minute because we all know, the Fins Nation know how we feel about him. I mean, we've been talking. It seems like we've been talking about Josh Rosen over the past year, and just as much, maybe even more than Tua Tagovailoa. So I want to give you an opportunity for the fan base, okay, and for me, because I'm sure hopefully I can learn something from what you're about to say. I want to ask you to break down and to explain to us and the Dolphin family why is there so much loyalty in so much hope for Josh Rosen from a analytical standpoint, please enlighten me, because I might be missing something. I really would like to know that.
Well, I just wanted to start with me personally reading comments over the past, how long ago have I been doing YouTube? About 6 years now. Their loyalty to quarterbacks are like, what's a good comparison I could use? With females. How about that? Dating females. Like the second the quarterback does bad, they're on to the next one. And I feel like we haven't gave Josh Rosen a fair opportunity, along with Ryan Tannehill, but we ain't talking about Ryan Tannehill today. But Josh Rosen went from one bad team to another bad team, and we're so quick to jump ship onto it. Now, mind you, before we even got into the 2019 season, the only reason why I didn't want us to draft Tua was because of the fact that there was the rumors about us tanking for him. I was just a little. That's just not how I'm built. Like, he fell into our lap. We have 5 wins. Tua just fell into our lap. I'm okay with that. But us tanking to get him, that was a totally different story. But back to Josh Rosen. He went from a terrible team that was 32nd in sacks allowed in 2018 to the Miami Dolphins. I believe they were 31st or 32nd. Don't quote me on that. And sacks allowed. And then, of course, we had the rumor that came out 2 weeks ago about Chad Oshay's offense, him struggling learning Chad Oshay's offense. I just feel like if you just put the protection around Josh Rosen, I feel like he can do somewhat of a decent job. And it's real funny how I go over the comments over the last couple of weeks, and people want Tua to sit because of the offensive line, but we don't want to make the same case for Josh Rosen. That's really funny to me.
Oh man, wow. Yeah, I've been seeing those comments as well. I've been seeing those comments as well. So, but as far as I get that and I respect that 100%. And that's I will say this. My thing with Josh Rosen.
Can I just say this though? Can I just say this? If we're comparing them to women, I want everyone to know on tape, Josh Rosen is like a girl who just lays there like a starfish, while Tua Tagovailoa on tape is like Jenna Jameson. But let's continue on.
Oh my God. Wow, man. Listen. All jokes aside. As far as Rosen is concerned, I just think with him, I think his physical skill set, I think a lot of people were wrong, and as far as their evaluation about his physical ability, I don't think he has a big arm. I never thought that, even coming out of UCLA. Obviously, he's not that good of an athlete, and we've also highlighted his deficiencies in the other aspects of his game. So I think not just Josh Rosen, but any player at the quarterback position, if you're deficient in every aspect of your game, a coach, when you're coming from a coaching standpoint, there's nothing to build a foundation upon. And again, those type of players, and I saw you mention this in one of your videos, there's a place in the NFL for those type of individuals. They're called backups.
Can I hit you with something?
They're called backups.
Can I hit you with something too? Because we talk about Josh Rosen, and I always go back to. I don't even go back to Arizona, guys. I mean, if you've listened to me, I go back to all the way to UCLA. So I want to hit you with something that's kind of scary. So in that draft class in 2017, he ranked 24th in avoiding turnover-worthy plays, and it was due to a combination of his middle-of-the-field aggressiveness, not having any regard for linebackers and safeties, and a few issues with his fumbles. But if you go deeper now to him in the NFL, he's still doing that same thing in terms of pushing balls into tight windows when he has no business, because he has, in the 2 years he's leading all quarterbacks with 400 or more attempts over the past 2 seasons in percentage of throws into tight windows, 30.5%. And on 145 tight window throws since 2018, Rosen, so in the NFL, Rosen has gone 35 of 145 for 487 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. His 3.4 yards per attempt ranked 28th among 32 qualifying quarterbacks, and his 10.6 passer rating sits at dead last. And those are in tight window throws. So I've always said I saw a lot of the same things I saw in UCLA. That's why, we've had a couple people on here, Great One. I don't know if you had to catch it. Dante Colonelli from Blue Chip Scouting, and also Matt Valdovinos. They were really high on Josh Rosen coming out of UCLA. I was not. And I've been very firm in this. I saw a lot of things in terms of processing. I thought in college he was an average processor. Yeah, exactly. And you see that with what they're talking about with his turnover-worthy plays, and he basically had a disregard for his linebackers and safeties because he couldn't read what they were doing very well, and he still can't. So I think we're running into a situation where I know it was a bit of a different offense, but in terms of schematically and what the playbook was. But Kyler Murray was sacked 49 times in Arizona because I've told people this before. All they really did before Kyler Murray got there to the offensive line was they went and got a mediocre at best guard from New York by the name of J.R. Sweezy. They didn't go out and they didn't really upgrade that offensive line, okay? And he got sacked 49 times. He won Rookie of the Year. But, he only won 5 games. But I've said to this people before because they're like, Rosen won 3. He only won 5. Yeah, but, he almost beat the San Francisco 49ers twice because if you put those – if you combine the points they lost by in both games, it equates to under 10 points. And, I've talked about this on the stream before. Joey Bosa, them, they talked about how Kyler Murray was the toughest they had to deal with in terms of quarterbacks out there. So he was basically behind the same shoddy, terrible offensive line. The only difference is he's actually a top 10 pick. That's the difference. Josh Rosen had no business being a top 10 pick. Another thing I noticed, if you go back to his UCLA, go watch his UCLA tape before the shoulder injury and go watch it after. He lost some zip on that ball. That zip that a lot of people were in love with. He didn't have it as much as he did when he was coming in. And I equate some of that to the shoulder injury. But that being said, my whole thing is where I stand with Josh Rosen is, and I do get what you're saying. What you said makes perfect sense in terms of, the quarterbacks and people have like loyalty like a girl they met, a crush, whatever the case may be. The problem I have is this girlfriend hasn't even given you a handy. Okay? You know what I'm saying? That's what my problem is. You've been going out with her for over a year, and you haven't even got a handy, bro. So, there's got to be a point where,
And see, reason everybody keeps putting 95% of Josh Rosen's lack of success on the O-line, but once you dig into his see, what did I say about you want the tape? You want the analytics to confirm what you see on tape. When you dig into Josh Rosen's tape and you dig into the analytics, it's a confirmation. It's not just the O-line. It's about they're grading him when he actually, a lot of his analytics, they're taking into account. A lot of that is graded when he does have time and when the O-line does hold up and he's actually given an opportunity given the time to properly survey the field. The problem is he just can't interpret what defenses are throwing at him. He just can't. And players, it's a skill set. It's like anything else. It's like, height, weight, speed, hand placement, foot quickness. I mean, it's a skill set, and he doesn't have it. And it's okay. It's okay. But again, like Reason said, I just don't get the loyalty to this player when he's giving you absolutely nothing to be loyal to him about. Absolutely not. At least Ryan Tannehill showed flashes at times. And I don't necessarily think Tannehill was a bust. He just was a mediocre quarterback, and it was just time to move on from him. But Rosen has been historically bad, and y'all been banging the table for this dude for a year, and y'all were actually trying to put this out and convince people in our fan base to pass on a prospect like Tua Tagovailoa if he is sitting there staring into the face at number 5 for Josh Rosen? Y'all should be ashamed.
I have a question. I have a question for y'all. Was it Josh Rosen's fault that Steve Wilkes got fired from the Arizona Cardinals before the season was even over?
Yeah.
He did not help.
Was it the offensive coordinator got fired too? And dating back to UCLA, he had like 5 different offensive coordinators. So I can't solely just put that on Josh Rosen. There's something going on there.
But great one. But when did he flash though? When did he flash? You want guys to flash in their first year. That's what you want from rookies. Yeah. You want guys to flash and to confirm what you saw on tape during the evaluation process. When did Rosen ever flash? Please enlighten me, because I'm trying to learn.
I saw some flashes with the Arizona Cardinals, but going back to that female reference, it's like one of them females where she's like extremely pretty. You can only touch with your eyes, not your hands. So you gotta finesse it a little bit. You gotta take your time. You can't sit back and rush it.
So I want to bring up a play from his rookie year. So what you see here is you see Rosen. Okay, I want to describe this play, so I want everyone to watch. So Rosen, you see clean pocket, okay? He's got LaMarcus Joyner underneath and Aqib Talib over top on 1st and 10. That is not a good decision, my friend. Like that is, and you got a clean pocket. You got you got a clean pocket there. There's your guy, man's getting blocked out. The edge got brought to the ground. You got a pocket there. And not only is it not a
double coverage,
not only is it not a good decision in terms of the double coverage, he doesn't even put it in a position where his receiver could even make a play on the ball.
I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you, but got to put the possibility in there. Look, he's a rookie. He's going in there. He's getting murdered almost every single play. You're going to see a little bit of a couple of erratic passes from Josh Rosen from time to time. You're going to have to let him settle in the offense.
Okay, but again, I got another one I want to bring up. I got a play from this year too that I wanted to bring up here. Just put that in there. So this is this year the pick from against Washington with Quentin Dunbar, and I mean if you watch here, right, he fakes his eyes are locked on Preston Williams. Look at before he even faked the handoff. You got your eyes locked on Preston Williams. And it's a wrap, man. Quentin Dunbar steps up, makes the perfect play on the ball. And that's, you got to identify, first of all, you got your eyes locked on him, but you can't identify that Quentin Dunbar has a clear inside track on that route. I mean, that's something you have to see immediately after you make that snap. I mean, the receiver, when you look at it, he's never really open. And Rosen just puts it in there there's no imminent pressure. This is the thing I'm talking about. This guy just has the willingness to put the ball in the harm's way and not think and not truly process the situation. I mean, those are 2 perfect examples of one in his rookie season and now one in. I mean, this Dunbar interception is even worse than the last throw because you can clearly identify as soon as Preston makes the cut, Dunbar's got the inside track on that route. You got no business throwing that football there. And this is these problems you're still seeing these in year 2, and this is against the worst team second worst team in the league when it was all said and done. So these are problems that I saw in UCLA, and it's just the thing is, great one. I talk about it all the time, and this is no disrespect to anyone. When you're in college, the defense you're facing is like what 70% jabronis that are never going to make it to the NFL, and that's being friendly 70%. It's more like 85 probably. You can mask those deficiencies. You can look at Herbert. You can get away with the late read that Herbert makes because he's got a rocket for an arm and he can just sling it in there. But the problem is, at the next level, he's going to be facing better athletes, so they're going to have better closing speed, better recovery speed. They're going to close those gaps. Here's the thing. When you look at Tua Tagovailoa, another reason why we're so in love with Tua Tagovailoa, in the NFL, what do you got to do that you can't do in college, especially as a quarterback? You got to throw receivers open because when you see a receiver open and you throw it to them, that gap is going to be closed. in the NFL. Whereas in college, you can still fit it in that gap because of the closing speed, the athleticism. That's why in the NFL, it's so key. You throw people open, even when they're open, just throwing it to them, they might not be open by the time that ball gets there. And Josh Rosen not only has he consistently not shown that he can process a defense, especially if they disguise it and you get a different look post snap than what you did pre snap. It's over for him. He hasn't consistently shown the ability to throw receivers open, and that again comes back to processing because he's making late reads. So you can't expect a guy consistently making late reads to throw and lead people open. That's just not how it works. So I think fundamentally, where this guy's at, I haven't seen him take one singular step forward since he's come out of UCLA. And I think we are getting to the point, and I hate to say it because I've come on here and I say, hey, trade him to Jacksonville so he can go compete with Gardner Minshew, so at least he can have somewhat of a shot because we all think they might be going Trevor Lawrence next year. So who knows what could happen there, okay? But I think when you look at the fact that Ryan Fitzpatrick played 5 years between the Jets and the Bills in Chan Gailey's offense, when you look at Chan Gailey's offense, it's very, very similar to what Steve Scarsazian was just running at Alabama. I think Rosen is being set up for failure in year 3 again, bro. And I think you're not going to see. I think unless he goes somewhere else, you're going to see the same old Rosen. They're not going to have enough time between trying to bring Tua up to speed and basically getting to Ryan Fitzpatrick acclimated once more to just getting the rust shaken off. They're not going to have enough time to invest into all these deficiencies of Josh Rosen and bettering them. They got a number 5 overall pick to worry about. You know what I mean? And I think that's what's unfair to an extent for Josh Rosen. But at the end of the day, sometimes you gotta play with the hand you were dealt. If you're getting a 2-3 or a 3-5, you got to keep folding them. You know what I mean? Just like this guy, instead of forcing those throws, check them down, man, because we wouldn't have these kind of tape, these kind of clips to point out and be like, see, he's the same kid from UCLA. And all Josh Rosen keeps doing, he's just hurting his stock, man. And he's just making it more and more league renowned that he's destined to be a backup in the NFL.
But again, it's like I said, Reason. He has no aspect of his game that you would consider above average to elite. So coaches would be willing and be more inclined to give him time because there's no solid foundational aspect to his game. There's none. Kyler Murray, you just mentioned Kyler Murray. You talked about this kid was sacked 49 times last year, had the exact same
Josh Rosen
more than Josh Rosen
42 times, and he's sacked 8 or 7 more times. Yeah,
and this kid has essentially the same. And he's taller, and he's obviously taller and stronger than what Kyler Murray is. But they have essentially the same offensive line, and I get, the offense is different with Kingsbury. But again, what does Kyler Murray have? Okay. That Josh Rosen doesn't when you're breaking down the physical aspects of the game. He's got a lead arm. He's got elite athletic ability. Okay. Now, he might not be – his processing in his – I haven't broken down Kyler Murray's film to break down the other aspects of his game.
It's pretty good. He's better than Baker right now.
Okay. But again, he has elite traits. And that's what – when you're picking in the top 10, what have I been saying all year? Coaches value elite physical traits more than anything else because when they get their hands on these players and get them into the programs, their games will be scaled down and rebuilt according to the vision that the coach has for that player. And Rosen has every aspect of his game is deficient. Every aspect is average to below average. So I can guarantee you when they got, and again, they should have, you're never going to know a player until you get him into your program, okay? So was he worth a second-round pick? In hindsight, absolutely not. But you understand why our coaching staff would take a flyer on him because you see it all the time in the NFL. So with that being said, he's just not that good of a player. And I think a lot of people in our fan base, and I blame you and TD for a lot of this foolishness, y'all got caught up in and consumed with, oh, he's a top 10 pick. He's a top 10 pick. But guess what? Teams miss on top 10 picks all day, every year. So he wasn't warned. His based off his skill set and his tape, it did not warrant a top 10 pick. Okay. And you saw how much of a disaster he was here in Miami. He's horrible.
Second and
bro.
18.
He's horrible. He's horrible.
4 minutes left. You're tied 17-7, and you make this throw instead of throwing it away. Look at this.
He's horrible.
3 men rushing him out,
bro.
and this guy. Look at this throw. Are
He's
you
horrible,
for
bro.
real, bro? Like
He's horrible.
That's a rookie mistake. Those kind of things happen when you're a rookie. You make those kind of boneheaded throws.
Well, and in closing, great one. This is the most telling thing about Josh Rosen. You had two organizations. One traded up to get him in the top 10 and selected him at number 10 overall, the Arizona Cardinals, and opted to move off of him the very next year. Get the Miami.
Hold on.
Hang on. I'm gonna give you all the time you want, homie. All the time you want. Hang on. And then in consecutive years, he's traded to the Dolphins, and they got him in their program for a year, and they opted to select to move in a different direction and select a quarterback in the top 5. That is the most telling thing about Josh Rosen, bro. He's just not that good of a player. He's just not. But the floor is yours, Senator.
Okay. Well, going back to the Arizona Cardinals situation. Back then when they ended up selecting Josh Rosen, Steve Wilkes was the head coach. It's natural for a new head coach to come in there and be like, that's not who I want my quarterback to be. I want to select my guy. And Arizona happened to be the first overall pick in the NFL draft. What's his name? Cliffsbury. That's his name. Cliff Kingsbury. He had the opportunity to draft his guy. That's who he wanted. Kyler Murray. So of course they ended up drafting Kyler Murray and they ended up shipping Josh Rosen to the Miami Dolphins. It happens when new head coaches come in. That's what they do. But when it comes down to the Miami Dolphins, I just can't. Like, if we want to go back to the Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Josh Rosen training camp battle, we kind of knew that Ryan Fitzpatrick was going to end up winning that position battle due to the fact that he's been in almost every single offense on the man. So I wasn't expecting Ryan Fitzpatrick to lose that job. But again, because I'm reading some of the people's comments in the chat saying, how come Ryan Fitzpatrick played better in that offense? He knows the offense better than Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen still hasn't been able to settle in an offense more than a year. So him going into the Chan Gailey offense, I do agree with Reason. I feel like this is an opportunity for Tua, and this is basically setting Josh Rosen up for failure. But
no, Josh Rosen has set himself up for failure. That's his. Don't put that on. No, Don't stop. I heard TD say that same nonsense. Josh Rosen put himself in this situation.
What did he do? What did he do to set himself up for failure?
Not taking his craft serious enough. Listen, if you pay attention to all the reports that came out about all the off the field issues about lack of work ethic, last one on the field, first one off. You know what I mean? He doesn't exhibit leadership ability. He's too introverted. You know what I mean? He has a sense of his personality wise, he has a sense of entitlement. Our head coach now, bro, I've been telling you all year. The fact that pay attention to what Flores, stop playing, because they've been trying to sell Josh Rosen. Yeah, he's been having incremental improvements all year. He's getting better. Bro. All that is the Dolphins trying to inflate his potential trade value because they want to recover as much as what they gave up for him in the first place.
Let me hit you with this, EM. Let me hit you with this. So, Josh Rosen is one of only 4 quarterbacks since 2018 with 500 or more dropbacks and has a turnover-worthy play rate greater than 5%. Okay? And I want to hit you with this. Check this one out. This is decent. So when people want to blame the offensive line, okay, when you look at since 2018 on plays with no pressure, clean pocket plays, Josh Rosen has a 61.9 passing grade according to PFF, which is nearly 5 points fewer than any other qualifying quarterback.
How many clean pocket passing plays were there? How many? That's what I need to know. How many?
Oh my God, bro!
I need to know the answer to that question. How
You
many
know the
clean
number?
pocket passes has he had?
He has.
Wow.
I think I said it earlier.
I tell you, man, y'all love this kid, man. I tell you, y'all, Josh Rosen. I swear, y'all must be on Josh Rosen's payroll because y'all trying to find every excuse under the sun for the Dolphins to hang on to this flawed player, bro. It's ridiculous. I don't get it. But
he would take the Dallas
I don't get it.
Cowboys. If he went to the Dallas Cowboys, he'd take the Dallas Cowboys to the playoffs right now.
And that game was another problem, Gray. Do you remember that game? That's a perfect example. Remember when he got caught back there and he couldn't properly process the defense. He couldn't make the read. He was holding onto the ball and he almost took a safety. I'm pretty sure that was the Dallas game, wasn't it? Where he rolled out and he got hit back on like the 1 or the 2. Just because instead of throwing the ball away because he couldn't read anyone open, the guy just sits there holding the ball. It's just throw the ball away, man. Like live. And I mean, we can sit here and say for Tua needs to live to fight another day, but his is more about extending the play, trying to hit a home run. Whereas Josh Rosen looking like a deer in headlights. And he just needs to. I think the problem is, and I said this on stream, even with ball game, Gray One. I think the downfall for Josh Rosen is going to be up here. I think it's. I think when you look at the fact that mentally, when we talk about his intangibles like processing, he's not where he needs to be. When we talk about pre-snap, post-snap reads, not where he's supposed to be. His read and recognition's not very good. His awareness isn't that great. But now you're starting to add in the fact of it. Great one. Let's go back to the girl analogy. Okay. Let's go 2 years in a row. You know, a girl has asked you out to the prom, and then she showed up to the prom with someone else. You know what I mean? That's with Arizona with Kyler, and now us with Tua. You know, they said, "Yo, we're going to take you to the prom. You're coming to the prom with us." Next thing you know, the prom shows up, and they're putting that corset on some other broad and taking her to the promised land. So. That's what I think. That's what I think. It's just human nature. You know, it's just human. We're all humans.
I agree.
I can admit I would be bitter about that.
I agree.
You know, I would be sitting in that room being like, "Yo, they really think this guy's better." Like, I'd be bitter than that. And we already see that this guy hasn't shown us that he can turn that into better production. Like, man, he should have came out like a bat out of hell last year saying, "Oh yeah, Arizona's gonna pass me up." Watch.
Exactly.
You know, I'll give them
his time.
And the only thing that people really can hold on to with us last year is what the 2 drops Preston Williams had.
I know, right?
Yeah. Whereas Ryan Fitzpatrick ended up finishing the lead, finishing with the 4th or 5th most drops in the NFL. He had 31 drops against. And he still made it happen. He still won 5 of his last 6 games. And again, yeah, I know this year's different because Fitzpatrick knows the offense. Again, like that's why I think, you know, between Fitzpatrick and Tua's familiarity, I think Rosen's kind of up that creek with no paddle. But last year with Chad O'Shea's offense, they were on the even playing field. Mm-hmm. You know, Fitzpatrick didn't know it. He just picked it up quicker. And people can say, "Oh, well, he's a veteran." Cool. But the man's also, I mean, we can also pretty much all agree he's intellectually, he's probably smarter than Josh Rosen just because of his collegiate background. So that's why he was probably easier. His experience and his actual brain capacity is probably why he was able to pick it up easier. But even he was struggling at the beginning, Fitzpatrick, with that offense. But once he picked it up, he was going, right?
I think more than anything, Fitzpatrick was just in horrible shape, bro. I think his arm was in horrible shape. And we all saw, you know, at the beginning of the training camp how he looked. So I think it just took him a while to get it, you know, to get in football shape. And once that happened, I think everything started to click for him. But and going back to what you said about last year was his year. Great one. Last year was they were trying their best. And why wouldn't they? They just invested a 2nd-round pick on him. They was begging Josh Rosen to take the reins and take the bull by the horns and become that franchise quarterback. But at the end of the day, bro, you just have to, evaluate the tape. And again, you want what you see on tape. You want the analytics to confirm everything. And Rosen, it's just not there, man. It's just not there. And again, he's even further behind now because of his lack of familiarity with these concepts that they'll be implementing this year. He's even further behind. So at the end of the day, I just hope. Me personally, if it was me, I'm trying to move off of him. I get playing the game of trying to, get as much trade value as possible. You recovering as much as you gave up for him. I get that, but I'm trying to move off of him as soon as possible, especially how good Tua is looking physically. And you're starting to hear the reports about how the Dolphins are not planning on redshirting Tua. If he's out there healthy. If he's healthy as he could possibly be, and he's out there tearing up training camp, and he's outperforming everybody in that quarterback room, Tua will be starting day one. So it's just time to move on. This Josh Rosen experiment, it was a bad nightmare. We woke up from it, and it's time to move off of him, bro, and get it. Because I don't want that dynamic in my quarterback room because just human nature. You can't, and in some ways, I don't even blame it. He's going to be salty. He's going to be. You hear Ryan Tannehill, Ryan Fitzpatrick in the interview last week, how he's just glowing about Tua. Everything is about Tua talking about Loa. He's talking about it'll be an honor to meet. Rosen ain't said a damn thing, bro. Nobody want to interview him. Nobody want to hear from him. He's done. And I'm telling you, y'all will be doing yourself a favor if y'all get this out of y'all minds about this player, bro. The quickly you move off of him and get Josh Rosen out of your system, the better off you're going to be. And don't waste your money. And don't waste your money on that jersey, bro. Please don't do that.
Great one. We actually, as a little bit of a joke, a couple weeks before the Tua jersey came out on stream, Josh Rosen's jersey was like 40% off, man. And they even had that jersey insurance in case he got traded rocking on the jersey.
It's probably 70% off by now, bro. Don't waste your money, homie.
Oh, well, if Tua doesn't end up working out, I'm guessing you're going to be giving me my refund, huh? Yeah.
hey, look. Hey, great one for real.
Money back
real
guarantee.
Look. Real talk. I said I've been consistent now. Again, I'm not going back. I'm not going to look at any more Alabama tape. It's about evaluating Tua from this point on. If we're sitting here in 2 years, next year, and I'm going to even criticize him this year if I think he's not performing up to his abilities. If we're sitting here 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and he is not up, he's not, performing up to his, the standard that we think he can perform, bro, I'm going to be sitting here, putting that match to his behind, just like I did Josh Rosen. I will be putting that fire to his behind.
I'll be looking forward to it. I want the exact same intensity that you have towards Josh Rosen. I want you to put that towards Tua. The second he decides to throw a bow-headed interception.
It's probably going to be even worse for Tua because he's going to make me and EM look bad. So we're going to go in even heavier on Tua.
Great one. It's about that logo right there, homie. It's about that logo.
So it's bad to you, like if he put up a 24.7 QBR and then in his second year he put up an 18.4 QBR? Is that bad to you, EM? Or is that good?
What's that? Oh, I thought you were talking a great one. My bad.
No. I said so. What? Because you said if the first 2 or 3 years. So I said if he put up a 24.7 QBR in his first year and an 18.4 QBR in his second year, would you be ripping him apart?
Oh my God! Oh, you kidding me? Oh, I'm dousing, bro. I'm ready to burn that bridge down.
Bro, I'm just making sure you're being consistent with the Josh Rosen. That's all. That's all. Bro, just for research purposes, bro.
I'm tearing Tua's behind up, bro. You hear me? I'll be worse than TD. I'm gonna be honest.
Now it'll be affecting the logo, bro. It won't just be.
Oh, absolutely.
Some random college.
Hey, we'll be worse than TD. We'll be putting out a video every day of the week, bro. Get this dude up out of here. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you have to perform on the field, bro. You got to get it done. Period. And that applies to anybody on the 55-man roster, period.
Oh, bro, if Tua's – I'll tell you right now, if Tua's busting out, I'll be the first one to drive down to Orlando and drive him to the airport, bro.
Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, that's just how it is, bro. I don't – I try to, like – my whole thing with Tua is, and I've said this before, I'm just going objectively by what I've seen on film. That's all it is with me.
Period, 100%.
Like I've said before, I got no personal vendetta with Josh Rosen. I'll never meet him. I'll never know him. I'm sure he's a good person. That's why you never really hear me talk about him as a person. You only hear me talk about him as a player because that's all I have to go off of. I'm not here to judge these young men as individuals unless they get into some crazy racist tirade on Twitter. I'm not, or they beat their wives or something. I'm not going to sit here and judge them. I'm just here to judge them as a football player. So I'm sure Josh Rosen is a fantastic individual, but as a quarterback, he's not a fantastic quarterback. No. And I mean, I'm not going to lie to people just to, that's what problem when, and I'm not saying you, Great One, this is not you at all, but I'm just saying you got certain people, they put on their homer blinders. And just because the person puts on the jersey, we got to be in love with the guy when not if the guy is detrimental to your jersey. So, and I'm not saying Josh Rosen is detrimental, but at the same point, Josh Rosen ain't giving anything to the logo. Right now, he's just a body. He's a number. That's all he is. So, and that's all everyone is. That's all everyone is until you prove to be transcendent and more than the logo, a la a Dan Marino. Or Zach Thomas or Jason Taylor. Yeah.
I want to ask you. I think we've devoted enough time to this Josh Rosen subject. What are your thoughts on Great One for real? What were your thoughts on free agency, bro?
Going back to when we hired Brian Flores before the 2019 season, I believe Stephen Ross's statement. Don't quote me on this because I don't have my notes in front of me, was he wanted to build a team up the right way. We didn't want to spend a lot of money in free agency, and I felt like us going in free agency, we kind of broke the bank. But with that being said, I felt like we made the necessary moves. I feel like Jordan Howard was probably the most underrated pickup in free agency for us. I'm not really on board with the Byron Jones pickup, but I felt like we did need to go out and get a linebacker with Kyle Van Noy, and we needed some pass rushers with Emmanuel Ogbah and Shaq Lawson. But the question is, when it comes down to the pass rusher position, I'm not really sold on those guys because they're not double-digit sack guys, and that's most definitely what I was looking for the Miami Dolphins in free agency to get for years to come.
Do you think Ogbah could have been double-digit sacks if he didn't get hurt?
I don't do that shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I guess so.
He only played 9 games, and I think he had 7.5, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but I think a lot of what we're gonna. I think the approach. We talked about this on the last stream, but that's why I think the Dolphins are spending so many resources in on the secondary with the first round pick with Noah Ibenogany, as well as the addition of Byron Jones in free agency. I think that because when you look at Ogbah and Kyle Van Noy and you look at Shaq Lawson, they might not necessarily be a Aaron Donald or a Khalil Mack or a Jadeveon Clowney from a pass rush standpoint, but they're outstanding in terms of run defense and able to set and bend that edge and contain that edge. And I think they put so much emphasis with the addition in the draft of Raekwon Davis. I think he could potentially be that anchor in the middle of this defense. And I think that's a realistic possibility of him starting, at the zero technique early on. And I think the emphasis was getting stronger up front, more stout up front to contain the run game. And then on force teams to get in third and long situations they can deploy those 4 cornerbacks on the field as much as possible, and they will generate where the pass rush will come from. They're going to I think they're going to be one of the top 5 to 10 teams in terms of bringing pressure. So I think the scheme will generate the pass rush as opposed to an individual, necessarily just, as opposed to them relying on one individual to generate the most pass rush for them. So that's why if you look at how, and I can't, I know a lot of people hate, the consistent New England Patriot comparisons, but if you look how they deploy their defense, there are a lot of similarities. Man, I can't even, I'm getting tongue tied. Here. My bad. But the emphasis is always, limiting teams, minimizing teams on first and second down and getting the opposing teams in third and long situations where they can get as many defensive backs on the field as possible. And I think that will now, the problem with us last year is that we were so deficient in the middle and on the edges in terms of, minimizing the run game. So now I think that's not an issue with the additions of free agency and through the draft. That's not so much of an issue now. So again, when I hear people talk about, well, Shaq lost to Emmanuel Ogbah, can they be double-digit sack guys? No, I don't necessarily think the Dolphins brought them in here to be double-digit sack guys, because ultimately, again, I think the scheme will dictate and generate the pressure in terms of bringing extra people. And again, I said I can't wait till the stats come out at the end of the year to see where the Miami Dolphins ranks in terms of teams that are bringing that bring the most amount of pressure. So I don't necessarily think it's going to be one guy or two guys.
Now, I did want to say this because everybody is so hyped about our secondary going into the 2020 season. That pass rush is really going to play a big factor to the success to that secondary too as well.
They go hand in hand. And see, you can't be an aggressive team like that in terms of bringing pressure if you don't have the guys on the back end to hold up that can cover. So again, that's why I think Miami, they committed so many resources to, well, both the up front as well as the secondary. But a first round pick now, they invested in this kid from Auburn, first round pick, and you made Byron Jones the highest paid cornerback in NFL history. So that told me everything I need to know about their approach this year in terms of deploying their defense.
I just had to bring that up because you brought up the whole Patriots comparison. Just the quote from Kyle Van Noy, dead on. I know we don't do the captains anymore, but I would love to see a C on this man's jersey, bro. Because he says, I don't know how many New England guys there are, but we're going to get away from that. We're our own team. This is not the Patriots. This is the Miami Dolphins.
And I understand that, but I welcome if we can, bro, I want that success. If we can start a 10, 15, 20-year dynasty, boy, I welcome 6 Super Bowls. I welcome the comparisons. I don't get offended by that. But I get him. We are not the Patriots. We are the Miami Dolphins. But, I'm not offended by that. So, but, yeah, I fully anticipate him having a C on his chest because I think he was a captain in New England as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I think he'll wind up being – a captain on this team.
From what I understand, we're not doing captains.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So me and Jason Starney were having that discussion, and from what we understand, they aren't going to be doing because he actually wants to get a Van Noy jersey, but he wants the C on it. And we had the discussion, and from everything I understand, Flores, I guess, got away from that whole captain mentality type thing.
Interesting.
So we'll see if that plays out, but that's what we understand to be the circumstances this year because obviously this guy would be the captain of that defense because he's going to be our – next to Emmanuel Ogbah, he's my favorite signing because he's a field general, man, and you can line him up in so many different ways. I'm actually surprised, though, Great One, that you're not that high on Byron Jones just when you look at the fact that – I know we don't get the interception production, but when you look at how sure of a tackler he is, you know what I mean? That kind of fits what Brian Flores wants. I'm actually surprised you're not that high on him. Do you think that X is going to get back to pre-injury form?
I just feel like I think transcendent players, as far as being a defensive back, you need to be able to change the game, and that's end up committing turnovers. And Byron Jones isn't able to do that, so I don't see the reason why you would make him at the time the highest paid corner. Like, I don't think him and Xavier Howard are on the same level. Xavier Howard, you're not throwing to Xavier Howard's side because he's going to pick the ball up. Byron Jones, he'll lock your player down, but without consequence. Like, you're going to change the game somehow. I call them Carlos Rogers 2.0 elbows.
But I think, I personally think that's what this staff prioritizes, though. Sticky, sticky man-to-man coverage. I don't think they necessarily prioritize players. Again, it's a plus. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think they prioritize the.
You look at the Noah pick, and his ball skills are like his worst attribute, right?
Exactly. So I don't think this is a staff that prioritizes necessarily, generating a high interception total.
I think it looks like they want to get you in the tight window throws, and if you complete that tight window throw,
you want to get that. You want to get him on the ground as soon as possible. Get him on the ground by any means necessary. So, and if you look at Xavier Howard, and again, I love Xavier Howard, but a lot of Xavier Howard's interception totals came when he was in, situations where he was in zone coverage and he was able to get his eyes on the quarterback and gamble a lot and freelance a lot more than necessarily when he was in man-to-man situations. So again, I love Xavier Howard. I want to see how he and Byron Jones are able to, if he's healthy, hopefully he's healthy. And I want to get a year of him and Byron Jones together to see how good they can be and overall how good this defense can be. But I just don't think this is a team that prioritizes interception totals as opposed to sticking to your man, sticky tack, man-to-man coverage. They prioritize that, and Reason just alluded to, they want to minimize those windows that quarterbacks have, and if they are able to complete a pass on that defensive back, you get them on the ground as soon as possible.
Don't you guys find it crazy that just two or 3 years ago, we were bragging to everyone who would listen about how good our secondary was with Rashad Jones and X, and now we're at a point where we've added this high-ticket free agent in Byron Jones. We've drafted Noah Benogany. We've got Nick Needham on the come-up. We don't know how X is going to look.
You won't be talking about Nick Needham when Cordea Tinsley come back.
Oh.
I was just about to I know you love Tinsley, bro.
Where do you see him fitting this year, Braylon?
Hey, I'm guilty of that as well, bro. I forgot. I'm just totally forgot about him, bro.
We mentioned him on the bus ticket show.
I never think about him in terms of being part of the plan this year. But Tankersley, but if he comes back healthy, great one. I'm with you, bro. Yeah. I've always loved his skill set, always, and I think he is an ideal fit in this defense.
Yeah, he looks like a Flores guy, a long, lengthy press really corner.
Yeah. Fast, strong, able to disrupt the line of scrimmage. But again, I'm worried. I'm concerned because he wasn't. This is 2 years since This will be 2 years since removed from his ACL tear, and he wasn't able to get back at some point last year. Now, did they shelve him and put him on the shelf? Or maybe he had a setback in his rehabilitation. Maybe, I don't know.
They said he tore it again.
Oh,
wow! I didn't know that, bro. I had no idea.
I might have to have an interview with him. We're gonna have to have a sit down. Like, we gonna have to get it together, Tay. This your last chance, Tay. You gonna have to get it together. I'm praying for him every day, though. I'm praying for him every day because I want him to hit the field. He showed some promise against the Bengals a couple years back.
Yeah, the Saints too. The Saints as well. You remember when Drew Brees, when they played in London? I think it was the London game.
Yeah.
And Drew Brees came up to him and said, "Bro, you keep working hard, bro, you're gonna be something special. And I just don't know what happened, bro. He just fell off a cliff,
the
bro.
Injuries, man. The injuries. That's what happened.
But now I'm gonna say this. Now he ain't gonna, if he comes back healthy, he ain't gonna cause us to forget about my boy Nick Needham. Hey,
we're all gonna have a beach about some Nick Needham. Ain't nobody gonna be thinking about the Nick Needham.
No, I emphatically disagree with that, homie. No. Ain't nobody gonna cause me to forget about my boy Nick Needham, bro. I'm telling you, man, I'm expecting big things from that kid this year. I really truly believe it, bro.
Dolphin 1244 made a good point because I forgot about this. Remember Yatel Green? He tore it twice too. Remember?
Yeah.
And that ruined his career.
If he tore his ACL twice, bro.
Well, you know what worries you? If he tore it the second time on a non-contact.
It was in training camp, wasn't it? I could have sworn it was in training camp.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that.
I don't remember the second tear, so I can't speak on it. But if it was non-contact, that's troublesome, man. That's what happened.
Bro,
that hip started popping out on non-contact cuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. It kind of reminds me of you remember Will Davis? We drafted him in the second round. Him and Jamar Taylor in the same draft. You remember those two corners?
Yeah.
And Will Davis was killing it in training camp. He was picking off everything that he put his hands on.
Wow, we're taking it back.
Yeah, I hope the best for Tank, bro. I had such high hopes for him. But yeah, that's the first I've heard that. I didn't know he tore it again. So
great one. Who do you think is going to be the starting free safety?
That's a good question. Honestly, I feel like Eric Rowe will be better at free safety than at strong safety. I'm really pushing for Adrian Colbert. I like Adrian Colbert. He just has the look at as far as strong safety, but I'm really pushing for Eric Rowe. If not the rookie that we got, what's his name?
Brandon Jones.
Out of Texas, Brandon Jones. Yeah, pushing for that rookie because you already know I never liked Bobby McCain at all. Ever since we gave that contract being the best slot corner, I did not like that at all.
I'm with you as far as Bobby McCain. I'm trying my best to find a way to move off him. I know he came out in the interview the other day that he's going to try to prove everybody wrong that he can actually play free safety at a high level this year.
Too late. Too late.
Sorry, man. That ship is sailed, bro. Truth be told, I got that email about a month ago. I'm just waiting to print it off, get the confirmation.
I had mine about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
When he ended up cheating down, trying to tackle the running back on a play action pass, and he left his man wide open against the Texans.
What'd you think overall? I mean, you don't have to go, through every pick, but what'd you think overall with the draft, bro? And who was your best pick?
My best pick would probably be Raekwon Davis in the second round. I felt like defensive tackle was definitely a priority of need. We needed a pure nose tackle to be able to come in and do the specific job of stopping the run. The Tua pick, I'm still sitting with the C+ because I don't think that the quarterback at our first overall pick at 5 was our most definite need. I felt like the left tackle position was probably a position that was our most important need. I wasn't sold on Julian Davenport. I'm damn sure not sold on Jesse Davis. I'm surprised he's still there. Us trading the 26th pick all the way up to 31st for Noah Benogany. It was a little bit head scratching, but you can never have enough corners. Who was the other second round pick we had? That was
Brandon Jones and Robert Hunt.
Robert Hunt. That was my favorite pick. Excuse me. Raekwon Davis it was Robert Hunt. They had scouts said that he has the potential to be in a Pro Bowl guard rather than tackle. So I kind of want him to play guard than playing right tackle. But yeah, most definitely Robert Hunt's probably my favorite pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a bully. A couple streams ago, we broke down some of his footage, and I mean, you consistently see this guy. He chips that interior defensive lineman and consistently gets to the second level and just blows up the linebacker when he gets there. He's violent, man. And to be honest, they need to rear it back a little bit because that sometimes can catch him out of position. You can tell he just wants to go for the kill shot. But I mean, he's got the size, man. I really think I'm like when I graded him, because I was on TD's platform when we made the draft, and so I had him graded out as a guard. I didn't have him graded out as a tackle. So I'm surprised we're hearing a lot of. I'm surprised and not surprised we're hearing a lot of tackle talk right now, because it looks like he is going to play tackle at least to start training camp. He's got the leg up in that tackle battle. So I'm hoping I know EM had a little bit of an issue with he didn't see how good he was in open space. And then when I brought up those clips of Robert Hunt, EM was like, okay, well, now I can see he's pretty effective in open space. So if he can be that effective at the next level, I actually think he might be able to make the transition to right tackle. And I don't know if you've heard, Great One, but the Ravens were really high on him. And a reason why the Ravens took J.K. Dobbins before our pick was kind of to give us the old heave-ho, because we were actually going to go with J.K. over Raekwon at 56. But because we got ahead on that Robert Hunt, the Ravens gave us the old 1-2 on that pick. So, yeah, I agree with you. I'm in total agreement with you. EM can back me. I've said, next to Tua, Robert Hunt is my favorite pick in this draft, because this guy has a potential to be top 5 guard in the NFL. And if he plays like how he played at Louisiana Lafayette as a tackle in the NFL, this guy's going to be a top 10 tackle. If he can play, if he can make that transition, oh, for sure, man. I know people just kind of are worried about his athleticism a little bit, but I don't think the worries are as bad as people make it out to be, because there's a lot of Brendan Schreff comparisons out there. But man, I think this kid, I'm telling you, Great One, this kid is, go watch him. He is violent. He is a bully, and he's got no remorse about being that kind of guy. So yeah, I'm right there with you. That's my favorite pick too.
Yeah, over the last couple of drafts, I've been really high about the guards that we've been drafting. Probably the highest I've ever been was probably on Isaac Asiata. So I'm trying to save myself till he actually hits the field before I be like, oh, I can't wait.
What do you think about Austin Jackson, bro? No love for Austin Jackson?
Originally I wanted Tristan Wirfs or Andrew Thomas. Austin Jackson, he's a question mark for me, because obviously he did end up donating his bone marrow to his sister. That's what that was.
Yeah.
So he was having some issues getting back to his football form. So it's not exactly clear how Austin Jackson was going to end up performing for USC. So I wouldn't say it's an upgrade over Julian Davenport. I guess it's yet to be seen from Austin Jackson before I'm sold on him.
Man, bro, you know how bad Julian Davenport graded out last year, bro? Wow, I think
your boy traded for him.
Hey, my boy. Oh, okay. I'll take that. I think he's going to be a day one upgrade, bro. Because again, he just has to beat out Julian Davenport. You know what I mean? He's a day one upgrade, bro. Long as he just gets out, because I look at him athletically. Again, that's the issue with most offense, especially offensive, any trench player transitioning to the NFL's athleticism. This kid, his ability to play in space is second to none. He's got the requisite functional physical strength according to his bench press repetitions. So he just needs to. His issue, in my opinion, are technique wise. And again,
he's soft. And he's soft.
I'm not calling that man soft.
He ain't learned me something.
He's not.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. Tunsil was a generational prospect when he came out. He should have been picked number 1 overall in that draft. He came out.
You can't find. Here's the thing. You can't find a lot of examples of Austin Jackson playing with a mean streak, getting to that second level, blowing people up, blowing up defensive ends. You can't find tape where he plays with that mean streak, and that's one of the pretty much renowned knocks on him is he doesn't have that mean streak, that violent streak that you really need to be super successful.
Listen. I can remember a lot of the same thing. Speaking of Laremy Tunsil, the draft, the year he came out. You remember obviously Tunsil before that video surfaced.
As a top 3 pick though, Tunsil.
He was exactly. He was projected top 3. But you look at the tackle that was picked at number 8 that year, Staley from Notre Dame that went to Baltimore. Ronnie Staley. I can remember a lot similar the knock on him was that he was soft when he came out of Notre Dame. Okay, but what did he have? He had very good athleticism. And this kid, you can make a legitimate argument that from the day he got drafted, he clearly outperformed Laremy Tunsil on the field. This dude has been, Pro Bowl from his first year on for 3 consecutive years. This kid has played at a Pro Bowl level.
I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair.
In the run game, and the passing game.
I don't think that's fair because Tunsil didn't play just left tackle. He was playing guard too, and then there are other terrible offensive linemen on the Bobby.
Let's say this: wasn't Ronnie Stanley? Wasn't he lined up next to Marshall Yanda?
No, Yanda played the right guard. He played on the right side, bro.
He went to the Ray. Kelechi Osmele.
Kenichi Osemele.
That dude, yes. He was a Pro Bowl guard too.
Okay, I get that. Listen. I love Laremy Tunsil. We all know I love Laremy Tunsil, but again, all I'm saying is this: we need to pump the brakes on the criticism of Austin Jackson because the kid has the requisite physical tools that you want. And again, this is his game will be scaled down like we talked about before about quarterbacks. His game will be scaled down and rebuilt according to Brian Flores's vision. But the kid has elite traits.
I have a question for y'all. You listening?
Yeah,
hear me?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So we ended up drafting Tua with a number 5 pick. I give y'all that. Would you trade up, give up that 18th pick and that 26th pick to go back in the top 10 to get that tackle? Do you really think you could live without Noah Igbenogany?
Honestly, bro, I would have beat what's it called? Tampa Bay to the punch because what did they give up? They gave up like the 15th or the 14th and the 117th or 113th. Bro, I could have gone without Brandon Jones. So I would have offered them to move up to where San Francisco was. I would have given the 18th and the 70th, and I would have just got Tristan Wirfs was my tackle 1.
That's who I wanted too. That's exactly who I wanted.
And the fact that he was sitting there at 13th or 14 was criminal. And honestly, I think Brandon Jones and Austin Jackson put them to combined. I don't think they would have had as big of an impact as a Tristan Wirfs would have had.
But again, okay, when have you ever known the New England Patriots to have elite tackles on their team?
We're not the
we ain't got Tom Brady.
What's that?
We ain't got Tom Brady.
We do now. We do now.
Okay. Well, make him a day one starter then. Make him a day one starter. We got Tom Brady. Offensive line should not matter.
We do now.
We can have tomato cans playing offensive line. We have Tom Brady now. Okay.
But again, if Austin Jackson, you don't necessarily need an elite, all-world, Hall of Fame, offensive lineman to be successful. We see. Look at the kid.
It does not hurt.
Look at the
guy like Tristan Wirfs.
I'm not saying it don't hurt, bro.
This is what I said, and I'll say it again. The problem too is we need that right tackle for the blind side. Okay, they basically drafted Hunt, who a lot of people project to be a guard or whatever. Especially now, if he's going to start coming out of training camp. My issue is so my top right tackle in the 2021 draft is from Washington State. His name is Abraham Lucas. Okay. He's not on the same level as Tristan Wirfs or Jedrick Wills were. And that's where my issue was. You had arguably the most athletic and best right tackle prospect we've seen, and at least I can probably sit here and think probably like 3 or 4 or 5 years when you look at the total package of Tristan Wirfs. And it was just so perfect the way the stars were aligning where this guy was just – because, you're not going to be paying – you want your all-pro with a left-handed quarterback. Obviously, you want both to be all-pros. But if you're going to put a gun to a coach's head, they're going to say, I want my right tackle to be my all-pro if my guy's a left-handed quarterback.
Well, I look at it like this: the two teams that played in the Super Bowl last year, they did not have not one elite offensive lineman. On either team, bro. They had very good.
They have a great offensive line.
No, they had good. Not elite. Who's elite?
Bro,
give me somebody that you would consider elite.
Where was the left tackle?
Name me one offensive.
Kansas City. Where was he drafted?
Who you talking? No, I'm thinking of Richard Schwartz is their right tackle.
It's not.
You're talking about Fisher. Fisher, right?
Yeah.
That's a top 5 pick.
But he's not elite. Okay, he's not elite though.
But he's still a top. He's very good. He's a top 5 pick.
He's not elite. What did I just say? They have good to very good players. So you don't need a Orlando.
At this point for the Miami Dolphins, I need an elite player. I'm tired of seeing my quarterback on his back.
I get it. I understand.
The problem is Fisher's very good, and he just won a Super Bowl, so he's going to be asking for elite money. So if you're going to have to pay a good or a very good guy elite money anyways, he might as well be elite.
Well, who's the left tackle for the Niners? Is that Joe Staley, or did he retire?
Yeah, Joe Staley. He retired. That was him. He just retired.
Okay, so yeah, he's a top 5 left tackle.
No, really? Come on, bro.
Yes.
Top 5, dude.
Top 5.
Man, come on, man.
Staley's legit, and now they replaced him.
No.
Now they replaced him with Trent. They replaced Joe Staley was man. Since 2007, he's been freaking legit, bro.
Yeah, he's good, but top 5? Come on, man. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Outside of Tyron Smith and Jason Peters, is Joe Staley and
Laramie now.
Yeah, Laramie now. Outside of that, nobody else.
I mean, and look at they had to replace him with Trent Williams and Joe Staley.
But last time I looked, Trent Williams went on that team.
That's Trent Williams overall pick, and you got top 10 production out of him, basically.
Well, last time I checked, Trent Williams didn't play in the Super Bowl last
year. Joe Staley,
and neither did Joe Staley.
Joe Staley, 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, bro.
I said he's good, but elite, bro. Elite.
Let me hit you with this. Okay, let me hit you with this.
I wouldn't say he's elite.
We talked about Richmond Webb. Richmond Webb was on the 1990s All-Decade team, right? Well, Joe Staley was on the 2010 All-Decade team.
Okay, well.
I'm just saying.
Wow. Now you know what? I did not know he was on that All-Decade team.
Yeah, man.
But
he was
I'm not saying Joe Staley was garbage. I never considered him, in that like
those guys who quietly
number 1 tier category.
Very well. He was one of those quiet guys that just did his job very well.
Yeah, he was a very good player. Very good player.
Yeah.
But
no, I gotta agree with GreatOne on this one. Joe Staley was extreme.
I don't say elite.
I mean, I would say he was top 10, top 5 tackle for sure. 10.
I said 10, yeah, but 5?
There was a point where he was a top 5 tackle, just like how Jake Long was a top 5 tackle for a year period.
You think about the last 10 years, you're talking about Jason Peters, Tyron Smith. Let me see who else comes to mind.
And Staley went through Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick, and he did a damn good job for all of those guys, too.
He was good.
You're just trying to leave them off the list now. Look at you trying to reach for names, bro.
No. I'm just trying to think. I'm just trying to remember last 10 years within that 10-year time frame who I considered better than him. And
Joe Thomas,
Peters,
maybe.
Maybe. That dude's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I forgot about Joe Thomas. You kidding? That's elite.
Well, I got a
first ballot Hall of Famer, bro.
I got to look up pressures and sacks allowed because those quarterbacks got eaten up behind Joe Thomas, bro.
Not on his side.
You got gobbled
Not
up.
on his side.
Yeah, wasn't on his side reason. He not on his side, on that right side, baby, but not on his side.
Not on his side.
He was Fort Knox on that left
dude,
side.
That dude is a first ballot Hall of Famer, no question about it.
Was he 2 years after Jake Long? He was like not too long after Jake Long, right?
Same draft.
Oh, they were the same draft?
Same draft.
Really? Same draft? Really? Okay.
Wow.
Jake Long was number 1. I believe Joe Thomas was number 3.
Huh.
I didn't know that, bro.
Let me look that up. That's the 2008 draft, right?
Mm-hmm.
Staley was 2007. No, Joe Thomas was the 2007 draft.
2007. Excuse me.
We should have went. Oh no, that was the DeMarcus Russell, Calvin Johnson draft.
But again,
So we went 10. That was the year we went 10 again.
But again, a lot of good players on their lines. But would you consider that them having a top 5 offensive line? No. You would put the Cowboys probably. A lot of people would. The Colts.
Yeah, the Colts lines.
The Ravens maybe. Definitely the Ravens. The Titans. Yeah. So, but again, I'm not saying I don't want people to think I'm not out here saying I don't want all pro players again. But all you need Austin Jackson to do is come in and be good. To be B+. That's all we need.
I want an A. I want an A.
B to B+.
You're good. No,
good to go.
CEM. Here's the thing. We traded away Larry Tunsil. He better be an A.
I hear you.
There's standards here.
I hear you. I hear you. But
the best tackle since 2008, those Orlando Pace, in my opinion. I'm not going. Now that's elite, and again, that's elite, bro. That's Hall of Fame. When you talk about elite, bro, you're talking about Hall of Fame. Well, going to be better than all of them. So if we get a top 5 pick, give me that kid all day.
Look, that's what I mean by elite, grade 1. You're talking elite is like Hall of Fame ability.
Joe Staley's
going to the Hall of Fame.
He's been in 2 Super Bowls, 3-time All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler.
He didn't win, though. He didn't win one.
He got a ring last year, did he?
No. They lost last year, bro. What you talking about?
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, excuse me. I'm thinking about the Chiefs. But he still went to the Super Bowl twice.
He lost. Nobody's going to remember that.
Super Bowl twice.
No, nobody's going to remember that during his Hall of Fame evaluation. Nobody's going to remember that.
I will.
Nobody remembers losers.
Should have got.
Nobody remembers losers, bro. That's why Zach Thomas can't get in the Hall of Fame. He never won anything.
Hey,
no, nobody remembers that, bro.
My motto growing up with sports, you guys remember No Fear? Remember the gear, No Fear? I don't know if you guys remember that, but I had a hat and it said on the inside, and this was my motto growing up: second place is the first loser. And it's true. People don't really remember losers when they look back at
they don't.
The thing is, with the tackle
he would
position,
have a case though.
Yeah, he's definitely got a case.
He's got a case. He's definitely got a case though. So people think I'm killing them.
We're coming up on an hour and 45 minutes. I know it's late. It's 11:37. Anything else you guys want to cover? Great one, EM. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
No, bro. This was very, very entertaining. I must admit, bro. I'm glad you came on, homie, and you're always welcome on this platform. We'll get it always welcome, and we'll have the opportunity to debunk a lot of your buffoonish declarations about players. Hopefully, we can make this a consistent thing. And yeah, bro. All due respect to you. Appreciate you coming on again.
I actually did want to add one thing before we go, though. I wanted to hear y'all take on Ryan Tannehill.
Here we go. Here we go. Oh, you know what, bro? No, well, I want to bring up to you. Hey, when are we gonna stream? When are we gonna stream a Madden game with me and you?
You gonna have to let me get my feet under me because I'm extremely rusty right now. I'm letting these bubs beat me right now.
Now, I'm sure you saw what I did the ball game, right? You saw that, right?
I didn't see that.
I did the ball.
Okay. You had to see. You gonna have to send me the link for that. Plus, it's on PS4 too, right? So I really gotta get my feet wet with PS4 because I'm not really a fan of the controller.
I saw you getting smashed earlier today. I was like, man, this dude. Oh man, he needs some work before he get on that.
I'm rusty. You used to see what I used to be able to do to people. I'm rusty right now.
I told you we were talking earlier before we went live, bro. I've been following you for years, homie, and I haven't seen any drastic changes from your game from 5 years ago to now. You still getting smashed, bro. Still getting smashed by these bums. Ain't a damn thing changed.
You awakened the dragon now. Now I'm not gonna see you. I was gonna be nice and try to keep the game close, but F it now. I'm going to blow you out by 21. So
no, we need to make that happen for real, bro. We need to make that happen for real. You just let me know. Just let me know and send me that invite when you get a chance. You know, my tags are the same as EMdolphinfan. So send me that invite.
You too, Reason. You can come get some too.
Oh no, he didn't. Reason is garbage too, though. He's trash. So he even get him. He don't even want to get on the sticks with me, bro. He had mentioned it one time, bro. He's garbage. So
I'm gonna give it to him in our idea that we have. Don't worry, I'm gonna be there.
Well, it don't matter. We can do best team builder on the connected franchise. It really don't even matter for real.
No, okay, that's what's up. And again, like I said in your stream earlier, and also TD's. I got an open invitation that's extended to everybody. Anybody can get it at any time.
I'm starting a list.
I hear you, bro. I hear you, man. I hear you.
All right, guys. Well, you know what? I'll give my thoughts on Tannehill. So I was actually really high on Tannehill, especially when he had that unicorn line where you talked about earlier, Great One, where we had Tunsil at guard. We had Brandon Albert at left tackle, Pouncey, Jawan James. When we had that really good line, and Jay Ajayi was giving us the run game, I was really – that year we went to the playoffs before Tannehill got hurt. Anyone who would listen to me, I was like, yo, we're going to be a threat if we get to the playoffs with Ryan Tannehill. I'll give Tannehill a few things. I'll say I'll give it props for his work ethic because he really worked on his deep ball. We saw how bad it was when we had Mike Wallace, and he's actually come a long way. You know, he identified it. He worked to get better at it. I think he's an above-average quarterback. I think that's a ceiling. I don't ever think he's going to be really good or great. I mean, you saw it where they basically went to Derrick Henry more, and he was passing 8 or 10 times a game. Great quarterbacks, really good quarterbacks. You never limit. You never basically lock them down or limit them in a game like that. I think he's a really good game manager. I don't think he's pretty careful with the ball. I'll give him that. So I think that's why he's the prototypical type of guy where, you can see these people talk about, well, if you just make everything, you build everything around the quarterback and you just drop the quarterback in there and you go, he looks like he's that type of fit where, I don't want to say Trent Dilfer because he's better than Trent Dilfer, but that type of game manager that could take you a distance, take you the long way. He looks like he's that type of guy. He's not going to turn the ball over. He's not going to hurt. He's going to do more for you than he's going to hurt you in a game consistently. So, I think, I give him props. He's one of those guys who started out with basically what Herbert's going to be. You're going to be a one-read guy, learn as you go. The problem with Tannehill was it took him like 6 or 7 years to basically get a grip and a grasp of everything. And to me, he's above average quarterback. I think he's a good enough game manager to take a team pretty deep.
I don't discuss players that's not on the Miami Dolphins roster.
Oh, you're gonna be discussing Josh Rosen when he balls out on the different team.
No, I don't discuss players that's not on this roster. So, but Ryan Tannehill, he's again average. Ceiling is slightly above average. I never said Tannehill was a bust, bro. He's got you see why
Tannehill broke his heart is what happened.
Yeah, he did, bro. Because I'm telling you, man, nobody loved Tan. And I never wanted to share this publicly, but the cat is out the bag. Nobody loved you. Look, you see TD, you see your loyalty, other people's loyalty to him, bro. Nobody loved Tannehill more than me, dude. Nobody. And I'm telling you, man, I was just waiting on him to take that next step. And it just never happened for whatever reason. And I'm not saying it's all on Tannehill, but in terms of when you're comparing Tannehill to Josh Rosen, you can see why an 8th overall pick was invested in him, because he has, elite traits, relative to the quarterback position. He's got a big arm, always had a big arm. He had above average athleticism. He's a very good athlete. He's a converted wide receiver. So you had, from a physical standpoint, you had enough of foundational traits to build upon. And you can see in hindsight, when you're thinking back, why the Dolphins gave him and they were willing to invest in him for 7 years. It's because of those physical traits. But for whatever reason, the lack of weaponry, the lack of the stability in terms of the offensive line, consistent stability, it was just a lot of things, schematics. He's never in the right system, in my opinion. Joe Philbin wanted to convert him, and Joe Philbin had a West Coast background, which is the up-tempo, timing, rhythm-based, horizontal-based, scheme. Tannehill, that doesn't fit his skill set, especially at that stage of his career, trying to convert him to be the next Aaron Rodgers. It was just a perfect storm, I think, that ultimately stunted his potential. But if you look at, he's in the ideal situation now, because he needed to be in a run heavy based off play action based scheme. Okay. That he's in Tennessee now. And I think that's the ideal scheme fit for him. But again, I just think average to above average ceiling. And again, my argument with Tannehill is, you saw what happened when the running game was taken away from him in the playoffs. And that's the player ultimately that that's who he is. He has to have that running game to lean upon to force teams to commit and crowd the line of scrimmage, which creates space, at the back end of the, in that second to third tier part of the field. And if he doesn't have that, because he doesn't have elite anticipation, okay, he doesn't, now his arm is not elite. I'll say it's very good, but it's not elite now. So as he's gotten older, his overall athleticism has diminished. So he has to have that running game, that maybe not necessarily historically great running game he had last year, but he has to have a very good running game, so that teams will commit extra men in the box, which again creates space on the back end, and he can be accurate if he's put in a situation like that. But if you're relying on him without if you're going to force him to not have the benefit of a running game, and you force him to put the ball consistently in tight windows on time within a structure, within the structure of the offense, he's going to struggle. And he's clearly shown you. And again, we saw what happened in the playoffs. I think I broke TD's heart when I told him about this on his platform. We saw what happened when the running game was taken away from him last year, and that's who Ryan Tannehill is. So again, with that being said, hopefully that's the last time we'll ever have to have this conversation, because I don't discuss players on players on different rosters. But in closing, that's who Ryan Tannehill is, and he broke my heart, bro. Nobody loved that dude more than me, bro. Nobody. I was like, no, this is the year. Dude. I can't tell you how many arguments I would have in the barbershop.
Remember when he broke Dan Marino's in-game consecutive completion record? Bro, I was like, yo, it's good enough. Trust me, man. Bro, I remember one year, bro, I drafted him in fantasy quarterback in the top 6 rounds, bro, one year. And it was the year where it was the unicorn year where he got hurt. I was so disappointed, and that was it, man. After that second non-contact injury where he decided to do the stem cell instead of actually going in there and getting it fixed, after that second injury happened with the non-contact, I was kind of starting to get off the Tannehill boat.
He was durable up until that point, though.
Yeah, he was.
Consider the amount of hits he was taking.
And again, bro, he was tough. I mean, I admire that toughness about him, bro. I mean, he was getting killed out there, bro.
Yeah.
And you know, it just never happened.
I think he's the most sacked quarterback ever in his first 4 years.
Yeah. And then he was still able to perform, I think, within his first 5 years, I think, in terms of history of the NFL. I think he was 5th in terms of yardage. And there was another statistic as well that he was like in the top 5 in their first 4 to 5 years in the league. You know, so I like to, you know, nobody loved that dude more. I just refused to talk about him because he broke my heart, bro. I was just sick of him. I was, you know, and then his body started to break down. I was like, oh, hell no, it's time to move on, bro. It's time to move on. And then once I saw that Tua Tagovailoa came along, I said, oh,
see what I'm saying? Reason a typical Miami Dolphins fan. On to the next chick. On to the next chick. You see what I'm saying?
I said, oh my God, look at that, bro. Oh man, who is that? Oh no. Ryan who? Oh no. So hopefully Tua, because I'm gonna be honest with you, bro, and I'm saying this publicly. If Tua busts out, I'm telling you right now, bro, that is you might as well just rip my heart out. Damn, breaking it. You might as well take a knife and cut it out, bro, if Tua busts out. Because I love that kid as a prospect. I'm telling you, man. But I don't think that's something I don't anticipate.
And Jay Johnson made a good point. We shouldn't have let Charles Clay go to Buffalo because of how well Tannehill was utilizing him. You know, that also stunted a little bit his growth too because
didn't have another tight end.
Yeah. That was a good point, Jay Johnson.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, man, we're almost at 2 hours, guys. I'll give you one more chance. Anything else you guys want to say before we get out of here?
I just wanted to say I appreciate you guys having me, and I know from personal experience, it's hard to have one of these type of formats where you have a partner. You guys seem like you have perfect chemistry together, able to consistently feed off of each other. So I just wanted to congratulate you guys on that too as well.
Man, that's greatly appreciated, homie.
Appreciate it, man. Great one. I actually have before when we end this, just stay with us because I actually want to run something by you when we go backstage. 2 things by you when we go backstage in terms of future shows. So other than that, EM, you got anything else you want to add?
No, man. Again, bro, it's greatly appreciated you coming on, homie. Hopefully, you know, this won't be the last time we'll see you. And you know, all day, every day. Y'all know what time it is.
All right, guys, we want to thank you very much for spending your Wednesday night, especially at this late of an hour with all of us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Again, we hope you're all staying healthy and safe in these trying times. You know, try to stay positive, try to see the light in the darkness. Nothing but love for all your appreciation for the support.
Absolutely.
Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, of course. Go over, hit up GreatOneDeVore's YouTube channel. Go smash that subscribe button. Go watch a few of his videos. Go hit the like buttons. Just show love, guys. You know, get us a lot further in this community and in this world with love. You know, you get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. So, everyone, I just want to thank y'all for coming out. We'll be back Friday night as usual. Until then, y'all already know what it is. It's Phinside.
Y'all know what it is.
Every day.
Y'all know what it is, baby.